Welcome back to the show. Back to continue our conversation with Brandon Plan, host of Sens Talk podcast. And let's talk hockey. Let's talk about, the product on the ice, right? Yeah. Started off well, right? 3-1, and then that 3-game losing streak. What do you make of the season so far?
Well, we just spoke about it. November is so important. So right now I'm just looking in the future.
Okay.
Not in the past.
Okay,
Look
good.
at the future, right?
All right.
We got some injuries, but any team goes through injuries. You have to face that adversity, and this team showed they can score. They can score in bunches. It's all about the defense and keeping the puck out of the net, which has been the consistent issue of this team over the last few years.
Right.
But what I will say is they got a lot of games coming up at home. Against some tough opponents in the Eastern Conference, teams they'll likely be competing with for those final 1 or 2 wildcard spots.
Okay.
So big month coming up in November. They have to be more than just above 500. They have to exceed that mark, and if they do, I feel very good about their chances in March and April.
You mentioned injuries. Missing 3 of your top 6 defensemen is not easy. And DJ Smith, he's been criticized quite a bit with his defensive structure. I mean, he remains on the hot seat, I would imagine. Like, if this November doesn't go well for this team, DJ Smith, I mean, can he last any longer?
Look, I love DJ Smith as a person.
Yeah, me too.
The character, he's a great guy. He's built the culture around the locker room. You have to commend him for that. But this is a business. And if you don't get the results on the ice, unfortunately, you're going to have to go. So like you just said, big November coming up. I think if the Senators are especially below 500 by the end of November, and they finish November, the games they played in November below 500, he's gone. Once again, there's expectations on this team to make the playoffs. There's no excuses. There's no, silver linings. This is a team that needs to push
injuries,
for the playoffs.
regardless of injuries, because we can use that as an excuse any time, right? This team has had some bad luck. There's no doubt. What do you think of the guys that they brought up to replace these injured players so far?
Well, Tyler Clevin is a top asset for this team. The guy is the Clev bomb, they call him for a reason.
I love him. I absolutely love him.
A freak of nature physically. He's so big, really throws around the hits. Reminds me of Mark Mathot, for example. Another guy that brought up, Nicholas Manampalo, they signed over from Europe in free agency. This is a guy that is a rookie technically, but not very much so a rookie. I mean,
like,
this
how
guy,
old is he? 26?
24, 25,
okay,
26.
Okay.
And this is a guy that's played professionally for a few years now in Europe. A guy that's played for Finland at the IIHF World Championships. This is a very experienced hockey player, and he looked fantastic the other day against Pittsburgh.
Jacob Bernard-Docker, I mean, here's a guy that, waved and has been with the organization for a long time. Is there any promise that this kid may have a job with the Sens down the road, or is he? I mean, for him, he must be thinking of it in his agent. I've got to showcase myself. Yeah. I mean, this is it, right?
Absolutely. I mean, he was picked a few years ago in the first round, but it's been a few years. He still has that first round pedigree, and you don't want him to get cut for that reason. But at the same time, they put him on waivers, and he snuck through, thankfully.
Yeah.
But they did put him on waivers.
Yeah.
So they clearly are okay with losing him, potentially. They don't see him as a guy in this top 6, especially with the emergence of Tyler Clevin, Manampalo. It's a difficult spot for JBD, and, he's a friend of the show. He's been on my YouTube channel before.
He's a great guy. Yeah, I agree. I agree.
But unfortunately, like I said with DJ Smith, it's a business, and, he just hasn't performed at times like a first-round pick. I think he should get an extended look this year, especially with injuries, and, he's still a talented hockey player, and there's absolutely a chance he can bounce back.
Jake Sanderson, we want to talk defense. I mean, chef's kiss is exactly a little bit of criticism, maybe even a lot, as far as some people are concerned, when he was first drafted. But boy, oh boy, did they hit on this kid, right?
This guy is going to win a few Norrises in his day for sure. He's already a top 10 defenseman in my books. Okay. And I'm a little biased, of course, when I say that, but the way he skates, the transition game, his puck-moving abilities, and most importantly, his shot, as you've been watching, clearly has improved. He scored like 3 or 4 goals in the first 6 games.
Yeah.
He's been on a tear. Speaking of tear, Jacob Chychrun has been on a tear as well, this entire blue line.
Yeah.
He scored multiple goals as well. So last year, I spoke about this in my season preview on YouTube, the blue line didn't produce anything.
Agreed.
This year, it's been the complete opposite. So Jake Sanderson, he's really putting the puck in the back of the net. His two-way game is unbelievable. Jacob Chychrun, same thing. Ottawa is just truly blessed with an abundance of elite blue liners.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Ridley Gregg, let's talk about him. Shane Pinto, when he comes back, he's obviously going to get his spot. And I will say about Shane Pinto, just quickly, I appreciate the way the Senators have supported him through this. Michael Andlauer did the same thing yesterday, talking during the press conference. But it's given Ridley Gregg a chance to showcase himself. Again, I think this is another pick that surprised a lot of people at the time, but I mean, another impressive-looking young player for the Sens.
Another top player coming out of North Dakota, just like Tyler Clevin,
that's right. Yeah.
I mean, the guy is very good, and he was thrust into a difficult spot last year when Josh Norris went down with that shoulder injury. He's a rookie playing top 6 minutes against guys like Crosby, Bergeron, Matthews. The list goes on. Really, really tough in that Atlantic division. He put up 20 goals and an above 52-53% faceoff percentage, which is 3-4 points above league average. Doesn't sound like a lot. That's a hell of a lot, though. That's a great amount there. So this is a guy that's very talented, and having him on that third line would truly help this team in the long run for sure. And he will be back. I want to say this, like you said with Michael Andlauer, it's a great change of pace to see how the organization is supporting their player in a tough spot. Not calling them out, and Elliot Friedman specifically mentioned the fact that there's no whisper campaign. They didn't try to use this against him to lower his AAV on his next contract. It's truly, and look, Steve Stais, Michael Andlauer, when they brought in Steve Stais, they wanted to be the best in class, and here's an example of that. They're being the best in class for sure.
And I think Shane Pinto's going to appreciate it. I just have like 30 seconds left. Goaltending, how are you feeling?
I've been a big fan of Jonas Korpisalo and Anton Forsberg. I think Forsberg's one of the most underrated goalies in the National Hockey League if you look at his advanced analytics. Most importantly, Korpisalo and Forsberg won a championship before in the AHL, the Calder Trophy with Cleveland Monsters. So they have a winning pedigree, and let's see if they can do it again.
People can follow you on X, right? Sens Talk _.
Yes, sir.
And your YouTube channel, same thing.
YouTube.com/Sens Talk.
Brandon, boy, oh boy, as I said, I thought we had a few things to talk about a couple of weeks ago, but it's been so great. Thank you so much for joining me. Really appreciate it. Again, you can follow him on X, formerly Twitter, at Sens Talk _, YouTube.com/Sens Talk. We'll be back with more right after this. Don't go anywhere.